Well, folks, can you believe it? The last game of the season. We almost did it. Close, but no cigar. The moral of the story is don't rely on anyone to do your dirty work. Here we go. The crescendo's here. Joining me is my podcast brother from another mother, always by my side this season. It has been an honour to have you on the Highbury squad. Super Kevin Campbell.
Me, I beat Leicester. Me, I beat them.
Kev, how many necks did you brock during that?
Hey, listen, I was brocking up the next left, right, and centre. When Vardy scored the first and then the second, I'm like cracking up next. But I kept quiet. I didn't put anything out there. I just put Vardy on one. Go on, Vardy. And then they sold it out, man.
Oh, my God.
And you know what? Aston Villa are beating Chelsea. Come on, Leicester.
All they had to do was beat a Tottenham team managed by Ryan Mason, who are losing Harry Kane. And, you know, I stood up for Brendan Rodgers last week on the show, Kev.
Yeah, I know.
And anyone who wants to, I mean, I get it. You know, it's 2 seasons in a row they've choked.
The life of a football manager and Leicester.
My God, Kev. I tell you. Also, how about this? Do not ever rely on anyone to do your end of season dirty work. Always be in control of your own destiny.
That's right. And look, at the end of the day, we've covered Arsenal. We haven't been good enough all season. We have improved. We have seen some progress, but it's nowhere near where we want to be. No. And we agree on that. That's for sure.
Yeah, totally. Well, good evening, squaddies. Welcome to all of you in live chat here. It is the last game of the season. For me, there's one big shining moment in this last game. Yes, there were some good performances, but remember I had a few humble pies baked to eat at the beginning of the season. And one of the humble pies, is it ready, Tony? Not quite yet. I have to eat it next week, apparently. It's not quite ready. She's just waiting for the crust to get really crusty on the edges, Kev.
Yeah,
to make
I like
sure
that. Yeah.
To shove it right in my face. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
always one who will give their opinion and then will eat the humble pie where it's due. I think rightly so, this player was criticised for his first season and a half, but yet you have to give credit where it's due. And now maybe there's an argument that this player could be Arsenal's player of the season. Kev, Nicola Pepe, tell me, talk to me.
Well, so we battled.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember when he got sent off against Leeds?
Mm-hmm.
There was a difference of opinion. Arteta's not treating him right, and I'm saying no. He's the one who came out talking smack. He's got to perform, etc., etc. And then it went on. He was in and out of the team, and then we had a pod where we discussed him doing extra work on the training ground.
You broke that to this show, yes.
But we discussed it.
Yes.
And ever since we discussed that, he has been by far our most consistent performer. Mm-hmm. He was electric today. He really was. And his first goal was great. But the second one was ridiculous because he picked the shot through the legs of Dunk.
Mm-hmm.
He meant to do it, to pass it into the far corner. It's devastating. You can't touch him. And I thought, over the course of the season, I still think Saka has been the one who's carried the club. But Pepe has been devastating. And now he is in a vein of form. Wow, he's been great.
Kev, that first goal though, I mean, with his right foot, the
right
touch,
foot, yeah.
and then and I love when I see strikers scoring goals on their weaker foot. Great. Mm-hmm. Can I ask you this question? Because I saw quite a few people during the game tweeting about it, and I wondered what you thought. people were talking about how he needs to be. Is it more central? Or...
No.
Okay, great. Okay.
No. I don't know. Listen,
I knew you'd have the answers for me.
Let me just tell you this. So this is really important because you see, sometimes being a fan, you think you know what it's like to play, although it's just one position in. It's a totally different game when you play on the inside. When you play outside, you've got more space, you've got more time to maneuver. When you play, remember, it's 1 against 2 usually when you play on the inside. And you kind of box them because you've got a couple of midfielders who are usually hunting to try and nick it from the other side. It's a harder task. No, not central. No.
And I agree with you because I love how when he's playing with the right players behind him, and I wanted to ask you that too, because I've said to you before, and we talked about this last week, about how when Bellerin was at right back, we saw the worst of Pepe, because he has to do too much. Whereas if a Chambers is there, even when a Cedric is there, or even when a Maitland-Niles has been there, he's able to have a little bit more of that creative freedom. Doesn't have to be as disciplined coming back, but even when he does come back, he's very disciplined because of the players playing behind him, Kev. So for me, I think if we're going to see the evolution of Pepe next season, it's going to be more of taking the ball, dribbling. We just don't see players do that anymore in the Premier League. Do you agree? Like taking the ball, dribbling, like Ronaldo-esque style. And I'm not comparing him to Ronaldo, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Dribblers are always special. But to be able to dribble and have an end product, that makes you even more special. And, when we were looking at, we heard Pepe was coming to the club. We watched his videos at his club in France, and we were checking it out, and we're looking, well, this kid, he can run, he can do all these bits. But the Premier League's a different kettle of fish. The teams are better, the defending's better, and you have to have the right attitude and mindset. Because you know what? You got to, if it doesn't work out for you straight away, you've got to get it right on the training pitch. And do you know what, Soph? I've got to give it to him because his mindset has changed. You can see it. His mindset's changed. He's doing the work on the training pitch, and the work you're putting on the training pitch shows itself on the main stage, which is, as I keep saying, when you cross that white line, that's where we see it.
Kev, it's so important in terms of kind of what you're saying, because you told us months ago he's putting in the extra work, he's doing more, he's trying harder. And we said last week on Kevin Says, when you see that come to fruition on the pitch, I know there's some people that still may not believe in Pepe. I was not. I had him on my Mount Rushmore. Remember that show we did of the one, maybe potentially the biggest busts ever, right?
Yeah.
But when you see the progression, you know what else I've seen that's different? Not only the touch, the finish, it's the confidence and the bravado. He looks like he's saying to the other players, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when he scores and when I'm the man. I'm the man now.
I'm the guy.
I'm the dude now.
Sophie, do you know where that comes from? That comes from hard work on the training pitch to know I can do it when I cross the white line.
So I follow?
I can do it. Go on.
And because you've been there, you've been in that moment where you've got, Aubameyang, Lacazette intimidating for him, right? He's coming in. It's not his team. He's morphing himself in. He's the most expensive player ever. The club's bigger than he actually believed. Right. You're going into, trying to out-muscle Smith and Wrighty and all these players. But when you find yourself in that moment, that's what I'm seeing in him now. Like when I work with talent, like actors and stuff, you see when they have that moment, they're doing an interview with someone or they're talking and you think, wow, they believe in themselves now. There's a spark that flies. But Kev, let me ask you this and tell me if I'm exaggerating. Had Arteta trusted him earlier in the season instead of playing Willian, do you think we would have made Europe? Do you think we would have finished higher up the league?
No, I don't. I think the penny had to drop for Pepe. because we've seen it earlier on in the season. Pepe played some games, and there wasn't continuity. Pepe play a couple of games. Willian will play. This one will play. That one will play. They were getting changed left, right, and centre, and the results weren't picking up. Sophie, I truly believe we got asked a question on that fantastic America pod the other day with Rebecca Lowe and Lee Dixon about certain moments. What was the moments that changed things? I believe when Pepe realized, I'm going to do the extra work on the training pitch, everything changes for him then, because the mindset to know, I know I'm good, but I have to work at it. And people who are watching may think that just happens all the time. It doesn't. Football's a hard business, and training is hard in itself. But then to do the extra, that is the seasoning, the icing, and the cherry. And he only done that in the second half of the season.
Second half of the season. I see what you're saying. So, Kev, you know what's really interesting is I was, I mean, yes, part of it was, oh shit! I've just realised my mic isn't actually plugged in.
Well, I could hear you better now without the mic in.
Kev, hilarious. Yeah, it's about quality. Here we go. All right, the mic's in now. I was reading the interview with Frank Lampard and Jamie Redknapp, and of course, Jamie Redknapp has a love for Frank. They're cousins and stuff. Like that. Family, right? And rightly so. But what Frank was talking about was in his first season, Chelsea fans, moved at that time 11 million, Kev, back in that day from West Ham to Chelsea.
Big money, man. Big money.
And everyone was wondering, wow, what is this kind of signing? But then he realized about putting in the extra work. And when you hear him talking about it, same with Beckham, he knew he wasn't as good as everybody else. So he had to find that technique, that work. He put in the extra, time on the training
ground,
and stuff like that. And then Frank doing the same. I think sometimes people don't realize there are certain players that maybe aren't as naturally gifted that can go out and just shine versus having to put in the extra work. You know what I mean? And listening to Frank, the way he articulated it in the same way you have, you can see why Pepe's kind of having the moment that he is.
That's right. I mean, I was coming through Arsenal as a kid, and Pat Rice used to sit us down. And and this is one of his sayings, Sophie. This sums it up. He said, I would take the attitude over the talent, half the talent, 100% of the time. Why, Sophie? Why would he take that? Because you'd think, at Arsenal, we need the talented players. But if the talent doesn't mesh with the hard work, the mindset, the will to win, the want, the need, you've got nothing. All you've got is talent. And we've seen it earlier on this season. The players are talented and they go across that white line. And this is what frustrates me. And I'm sure it frustrates some of the squaddies and the fan base when I say this. But I know when you cross that white line, you have to have it. And when they don't have it, bad things happen. But now, Pepe's doing it. Martinelli's doing it. Do you remember Martinelli's been doing extra? And I'm not saying Martinelli isn't talented because both of these boys are talented. But isn't it funny how all of a sudden these two were shining? Martinelli's coming on shining. Pepe's definitely shining. You've got to marry the two.
And I think there's a lot to be said about them shining, and they're going to be the players that are going to be needed more next season, Kev.
100%.
Right? So, and it's funny when you see ESR come off and Saka come on, you see Pepe play the way he is. You see Martinelli come on, and I'm hoping he's going to get more minutes. Aubameyang again today, not that great. We'll go through the players for sure. But this is the future of Arsenal. You asked it in Kevin Says, and thanks to everyone who listened. That show has been our most listened to show last week. Kevin Says on Friday, unbelievable, really great stuff. And you asked the question: can that 4 be the future starting from next season?
Can it be our future? Yeah.
And so, Kev, here's what we're going to do, right? I do want to go through the players because as a caveat to that, I want you to touch on whether you think they're going to stay or go. And we've done our shows this season where we've talked about who will sell, who will buy, who was out on loan, who we should capitalize on financially in order to be able to rebuild this Arsenal team. We're seeing a lot of movement you talked about Pat Rice on the show on Friday. You mentioned the under-23s and Steve Bold. He loses his job this weekend. For me, I see it as another opportunity for someone to come in and up the game, up the ante, take us to another level, right? So
that's what it's got to be, yeah.
It's got to be that. So why don't you take us through the squad? Like, let's start with
Leno. Start with Leno, eh?
Let's start with Leno, yeah.
I thought everything he done today was fine. He had a couple of saves to make. Didn't really have that much to do, considering.
Yeah, he didn't, did he?
So I'll give him a 7. As it's the last day, I'm gonna be pretty. I'm gonna be very generous because he kept a clean sheet, and we won the game. So I'm gonna give him a 7.
Yeah, I'll give him a 6. He didn't really have much to do, and I'm still of the ilk that he can go if a great amount of money comes in. And especially where I'm seeing some players put their best 11s for the season together and Emi Martinez is in goal for... It's pissing me off a little bit, Kev, I've got to say.
Tell you what, geez, the Gunners, the Gunners fans are funny, Jesus. They're not having him. So we get that. Right. Chambers, who I thought done really well today. I've got to say, I know he's much maligned, and he's not really a starter. Next season, he's not going to be a starter.
Do you know what, Kev? I've been very critical of Chambers, and I've said that if we need to move forward and be more competitive and consistent in the Premier League, we've got to get rid of players like him. He's been there too long. He's been out on loan. He's been back. But credit to him, when he's come in, he's done a decent job. He's done a better job than Bellerin. His passing's better. His crossing's better. I mean, what?
So I'll be honest with you. Today, I thought he progressed the ball really well. He picked Pepe out a couple of times, which was good. He was good at supporting from the outside, which allowed Pepe to move inside. And that's where people are saying Pepe to play inside as a striker. But he only gets that because Chambers is helping him on the outside so we can drift inside. But remember, Aubameyang's still the striker. So we're overloading them on the inside. It's not as if Pepe's in there on his own, because if he was in there on his own, he'd get marked. But because he drifts from the side, that's why he can get a touch and hit.
I think, personally, I don't know what happened with Cedric. He had one bad game and he's been ostracized. But Cedric's a smart footballer. He's won the Euros with Portugal. I know he hasn't made the squad for the Euros, but Chambers as well, both of them, they're smarter footballers than Bellerin.
Yeah.
And that allows them the ability to kind of think ahead and make certain decisions. And our good friend Magic Mike here from the Gooners pod, he's been backing Chambers as a solid utility squad player in this team, a great servant to the club. And he, Kev, I may tend to agree with you. I'm not sure I'm going to eat crow yet, but maybe he's like you say,
squad player. He may not be a starter,
right?
But so like in the FA Cup against Southampton, where we changed things, he's someone who can come in. We know he can do it. We know he can do a job there. And when the team does change, because we're gonna cover, I'm sure, at the end when we're gonna speak about
for sure
stuff. We'll be a stronger team, and if we're a stronger team, then him coming in will be stronger.
Yes,
Than our normal weak source.
Yeah, and Kev, as Rich says here, we need some homegrown players that we're going to have to keep, whether Maitland-Niles stays or Willock stays or Reece Nelson stays. Good point, Rich.
Good point. Good point.
We're going to have to make sure that we take care of that. Who's next, Kev?
Let's go for Holding. Rob Holding. I thought Rob Holding done pretty well today. Again, kept a clean sheet. Sorry, let me give Chambers his mark. I did because I don't.
No, yeah,
I'll give Chambers a 7.
Me too.
I'll give Chambers a 7 today because he defended pretty well and he set up Pepe and stuff like that, and he was decent going forward. So listen, I thought Holding was fine today. He done okay. There's still rocky patches to his game, although I know he isn't the long-term future of Arsenal Football Club. Mm-hmm. He can come in a bit like Chambers. He can come in and do a good job as a backup. But I don't think he's a starter. I'm going to give him a 7 today because I thought he done pretty well. And we kept a clean sheet.
Kev, do you think that players like Holding and Chambers would be happy being part of the squad? So if Saliba and Gabriel and injuries, and we've talked about it, 4 competitions. Obviously, we don't have 4. Let me just correct that. We're not in Europe. We've got the Premier League, the FA Cup, and we've got the League Cup next season. And we'll get to that at the end of the show, you guys. But do you think they'll be happy, especially Holding, because he signed a new deal? I think he's happy at Arsenal. Do you think he'll be happy with kind of being that utility player?
Yeah, I think he'll be happy. Look, the fact of the matter is, a few years ago, this was a young player playing at Bolton. Now he's at the Arsenal, and now things have to be turned around. Arsenal spent a hell of a lot of money on Saliba. Arsenal spent a hell of a lot of money on Gabriel. But you know what? The Chambers and Holdings of this world, if they're going to be in the squad, they're going to get a lot of game time. That will actually make us probably stronger. You know, in the League Cup and all that, Sophie, this is where we're going to be stronger. If we need to change things for the FA Cup, these guys can come in who have started games. It's important we have a lot stronger squad.
Okay. Let's move on to Gabriel. Almost scored today.
Yeah, Gabriel almost scored today. I thought he was really good. Out-muscled constantly the Brighton strikers. I thought he was excellent, and that our left side looked very good. So I'm going to give Gabriel. I'll give him a 7 as well. Again, clean sheet. I'll take that.
Yeah, the clean sheet was great. And I thought he had one of his better games. You know, he's kind of been up and down, especially since COVID. And I think once again, we're seeing that with consistency, fitness, you know, second season, I think he could really shine. I think he could be dominant on set pieces. Hopefully he'll practice those in the off season as well, Kev. But he's got the talent. And I think when he finds the right partner, a little bit like Thomas Partey, we'll see the best of him.
Yes,
completely.
Definitely. Kieran Tierney.
Kieran Tierney and Taib. There's no meltdown today. It's the end of the season. Look, I could maybe next week, maybe Monday Madness tomorrow night. I'll have a meltdown of some kind, just especially for you. But it is what it is. It is what it is. There's nothing we could do to change it. So rather than put negative energy out there, I think we'll start focusing, just like we did in Positive Week, on moving forward for the season, for next season, and seeing how we can shift things forward. Right, KT, from KC to KT.
KC to KT. I thought Kieran Tierney, again, was one of our better players on the day. Up and down that left-hand side, he gives us so much. He really does. And I'm going to give him a shade more than the other defenders. I'm going to give him a 7.5, solely because, you know, attacking wise, he really helps in our attack so much down the left, because he's the only really left-footed player we've got up and down that side of the pitch, and he's constant threat. And Brighton, he's one player Brighton had to account for. So,
Kev, do you know what I can't wait to see is, I think Tierney for me gets an 8. There's certain players that when they play, you see how they enhance the team plays around them right away, right? I can't wait to see like a quality of a Tierney with a Gabriel, and hopefully that's Saliba, right? I can't wait to see a quality for Tierney or a Saliba or a Gabriel at right back as well.
With a right back, yeah.
Same with Thomas Partey. Like, you know, the dots aren't too far removed from giving these players that have quality and are talented the partner that they need in order to excel further. You know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, you came into the team and you were able to do things for Righty that he wouldn't have been able to do without what you were doing. It's just partnerships are important.
Well, here's the funny thing, you see, Sophie. When I came into the team, me and Smudger gelled straight away. When Righty came to the club, I was out. I was a squad player. But I went onto the training pitch and I got straight to work on the training pitch to improve, because now the level has gone from here to here. And you have to adapt. You have to get better. And this is no disrespect to any of the boys in the squad right now, but this isn't our level. We've got to get better.
Yeah.
And whoever don't want to be squad players, there's the door.
Yeah.
Because this Arsenal finishing where we finish isn't good enough. We know that. We agree with that. So what has to happen? We have to get better.
Yep. And that means getting better quality to support some of these investments we've made. We've invested heavily in Gabriel. We've invested heavily in Thomas Partey. We've invested heavily in Saliba, in Pepe. Tierney, you know, so now Tierney, connect the dots, right?
Exactly. Now they have to be complimented.
Definitely.
They have to be complimented.
Let's go to that midfield, Kev. There's a newbie that has shown Rolls Royce moments this season. And I think when he hasn't, I think that muscle injury has been the reason for that. And then there's been someone who was ostracized by fans and wanted him out, but yet this season has been a rock, no matter whether people want to hear it or not. What's your take? Give me that midfield.
I think everybody knows these two playing together are our best two midfielders as a pair. I thought Thomas Partey was excellent today. I thought he was really excellent on the ball, especially being able to connect from the back to the front or into Odegaard. I think that really made us tick. Xhaka, you know what Xhaka is? Xhaka is steady. He's not. He had us one shot, which was. I don't think he uses that enough. But sometimes the problem for Xhaka is, or for Arsenal is, he's not one of these players who actually gets into the box. So if he's not an extra player who overloads somebody, the defense are pretty solid. But we're going to need one of our midfielders. Partey don't trust it because Xhaka, we know, can't get back. So he's not going to really do. Although Partey had a couple of shots, you know, one hit the bar, didn't it? One was just past the post in the first half. So he was trying to take the onus on. But if you watch him, I watch him sometimes, and he tends to, he wants to join in, and then he realizes I've got to get back. So do you know what? I'll give Thomas Partey and Xhaka the same mark. I'm going to give them 7s today because I think they were solid. I thought Thomas Partey played pretty well. I thought Xhaka played pretty well, and as a pair, they get the 7s, and they gave us a good engine room today.
Yeah, and Xhaka had a couple sweet passes in the match today, and Partey almost scored a beauty.
I was going to jump when he hit the bar. I was up. I thought, get it. Oh, man.
Everyone had, I think it was Jess. She was so funny because she said, come on, please. I just want to be able to send my tweets that are in the draft. You're just waiting on the Spurs one, the Partey one, all of them and stuff like that. Just really funny. But no, I think that's fair. Okay, Kev, how do we rate the forward line? And
well, I think we're going to start with Odegaard because he's the one in the 10 spot.
Yep.
I thought Odegaard had a pretty decent game. He's a really good link player. That's one thing we do know. He's a really good link player. And when we have that midfield, he always looks better. Have you noticed that? Whenever we have Partey and Xhaka, Odegaard looks better because the angles he can take, the passes, the gaps are there to get the passes into him. So I'll give Odegaard a 7. I thought he was pretty good today.
He was the last player to leave the pitch as well today, Kev. A little bit of a au revoir, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, right. He's not staying, is he?
Well, he's not. He's Real Madrid's property, and Real Madrid obviously missed out on the league on the last day yesterday, so they're gonna probably have to revamp their squad. And he's got minutes now, a bit like what's happened to Saliba. He's gonna go back and he's gonna feel a lot more confident and a lot better about himself, making an impact at the Santiago Bernabeu.
The squaddies in chat and a lot of people just chatting. All 433 of you, thank you so much for joining us. I think Odegaard has warmed his heart to Arsenal fans, Kev. And one of the things, I think Texas Guna just said it, the technical ability, just like you say, the touch, the knowing, the moment.
Smarts.
You know, that's what Ozil was once upon a time in football land. And that's what we've missed. ESR is that guy and can be that guy. But I think you and I agree that in order for us to really escalate next season and elevate ourselves, we need a little bit more punch in that area. And if Odegaard's going to cost 50 and we can get someone for 25 or 30, you know.
Yeah, we have to cut our cloth accordingly. I think you're right. I think Odegaard is not a luxury, but he's going to cost too much for what our budget is and what we have to do, because there's certain key areas, Sophie, where we have to get quality. Right back is one of them. Centre midfield is another spot. And that number 10 stroke wide player, we need some quality there, and real quality. And not only quality on the ball, but we need quality off the ball on goals.
Yeah.
Because we need somebody else who's going to chip in with these goals, because we haven't scored enough from midfield. We don't score enough from midfield.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you. And look, Lone Star, we're very well aware of this. We do not like this. Look at our points from the bottom 3, 4, 5. We're not happy. Don't take. We're just
far from it. We're just cutting it up. Lone
We're just cutting it up, mate. You know.
Yeah.
There's no Oscars being handed out here on this show today. Who's next, Kev?
Next, I think it'd be just right to go to Emil Smith Rowe. Emil Smith Rowe, who I thought was excellent.
I thought it was maybe close, other than Pepe. He was almost, if Pepe hadn't scored 2, man of the match.
Yeah, I thought he was excellent. Honestly, I really did. I thought ESR, he's got a change of gear in him at the top end of the pitch, which starts taking people off their seat, because he picks the ball up and he looks like he's going nowhere. And then he all of a sudden changes gear and he's electric and he starts cutting into the box, and he brings defenders to him. So he tries to make the right passes. Very direct player, very good. I'll give ESR 8 today. I thought it was excellent.
Kev, what would you say if I said to you, with a lot of Arsenal fans looking at the form table and how we've been great since January and second to City in our defensive record, what would you say if I said to you, in the second part of the season, ESR has been our MVP, even over Saka? Is that a stretch too far?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is, because he hasn't played all the games. He hasn't played as much as Saka has. And if you remember correctly, ESR came into the team against Chelsea.
Yep.
Played a few games, got picked up a knock, and was out. ESR has been in and out at times, and there's times where he's looked a little bit tired, because of that position is a very demanding position. But I think he has been, we've got some big ticks and shining lights from our Haaland boys, and he's definitely one of them. The Croydon De Bruyne, for sure, is going to be a top player for Arsenal.
He's really special. Can I ask you a question? Does it bother you that he doesn't pull his socks up?
No.
Like we saw Grealish be out with shin splints for 2 months in the end? 2.5 months was he out? Grealish, 2 months. Grealish was out.
But that's got nothing to do with his socks,
I know. I'm just saying, if I was manager, you know, I'd be a stickler. I'd be like, pull your socks up. That would be me.
But wouldn't you want players to be comfortable and in what they do? Because you see, sometimes what happens is, Soph, the reason why these players don't put their socks up is because the socks actually constrict the calves. And when the socks constrict the calves, it can bring cramp on. So that's why they leave the sock down at the back so that the calf could.
Even with the new sock where they just pull they have their white sock and then they put the kit sock up.
Well, they cut it off.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of them cut it off, but that's still on the calf.
Did you like when, because there's a lot of players that like pulling their socks up all the way to over the knee. I mean, it's all part of being comfortable playing, right? Were you just like, pull my socks up, put my shin pads on, I'm ready to go? It didn't bother you, right?
Yeah, I remember some of the first Arsenal kits. The legs are that big that the sock could hardly go over the calves, right? And stuff. You know what I mean? So you had to make it work. And then remember we had the kit with the hoop going around it.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, I love the hoop socks.
Them socks, you could pull them up over your knee, and you know the shorts were longer, and it was just like, nah, here we go. and it weren't so restrictive. It weren't so restrictive. But some players, like I say, some players struggle with their calves being covered.
That's interesting. I wanted to ask you that because I was wondering, and you're right, Lone Star, we agree on this one. They all need to pull their socks up this season.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt.
No doubt about that one. But these are the little nuggets I love getting from Kev because, you know, it's like your boots, your laces, and now we've got players that don't even have laces on their boots, and you've got these now more metatarsal injuries as well. I mean, those boots back in the day, think about how players excelled and were great, Kev, and the boots were heavy, the leather was heavy, the ball was heavier. I mean, headering that ball even back when you were playing versus the light balls now, it's night and day. We should do a show on something like that. I like that.
I mean, Sophie, you know, do you remember it used to be the World Cup ball? The World Cup ball was always the latest ball. And the old Miters and Minervas and all that kind of thing, they were like bricks, you know, in the cold. They were like bricks.
Yeah.
And then
I can't even imagine.
And then that World Cup ball came out, and we got them at Arsenal, obviously sponsored by Adidas. So we got them at Arsenal, and you're shooting, and the ball's like it's starting to move a bit, and you're thinking, oh, here we go. Here we go. Because when you're shooting, normally you're shooting either at an angle or very rarely you just shoot straight on. But even when we were doing shooting and you could see the movement of the ball and the goalkeeper can't gather it, as a striker, your eyes get big because you're thinking you get plenty of rebounds.
Wow.
You see? So again, the technology has moved on.
Yeah. Honestly, Kev, I can't even imagine what it felt like. And we're definitely going to do a show on this. But back in the day, like when it was freezing cold in the winter, you're up north and you're playing and you head that ball. I mean, you guys,
Well, there's a lot of things coming on now about, issues with heading the ball, problems with heading it so much that people have head issues, mental problems. So there's a whole study that's come out, and I know there's some very serious issues with certain people because of it's brought on dementia.
Yeah,
in some of the older guys who used to have that old leather ball with the leather lace.
Yeah, someone just wrote, imagine in the 40s and 50s and stuff. A little bit like the NFL, Kev, things that come out after the fact, and the helmets, yeah. All right, so who's next, Casey? Who have we got next?
Pepe. No, you're going to leave Pepe till last.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Let's go Aubameyang.
You go, Kev.
I'll be honest with you. I thought Aubameyang done a lot better with his back to goal today. Linking the play, coming to feet, all that sort of thing. Didn't lose it half as much as he usually does. Tried to battle Dunk and the defense. I thought he worked hard from the start. Just didn't really get much opportunity, which sometimes happen. But listen, as I said, I'm going to be generous, and I thought Oba done okay today. So I'm going to be generous. If I'm going to give Leno a 7, I'm going to give Oba a 7. I'm just going to give him a 7.
I think I understand what you're saying. He worked harder today than we've seen him in the last few games. He was more engaged. Maybe he was happy because it was the last game of the season.
Maybe the fans are there as well. Let's not finish that, because you know what? The fans do put you on the front foot usually.
Yeah,
they do, because it's too easy with an empty stadium to just go take a step back.
Yeah. And he did say a couple of weeks ago how he's missed the fans and how the fans spur him on. And I mean, you've played at Goodison Park and Highbury were very similar stadiums. That closeness with the fans, Kev, the energy that you get from that, must be insane.
And the comments.
Oh, you can hear him, huh?
Well, when the game is going on, you don't hear him, but a breaking play or whatever, and he's standing there. And so, oi, Campbell, you're going like you don't hear it. Get a bloody move on and pull your socks up and stuff. And that's just PG, you know what I mean? So, yeah, you hear it. You're
hilarious.
You're going like you don't hear it. I mean, I don't know if you're on our pod the other day, Rebecca Lowe. Could you remember when Lee Dixon came on and he was like, "Rubbish, Campbell, rubbish." There was this old fella in the East Stand. And I couldn't do anything right with this guy. I couldn't do anything right. He was in the warm-up. He used to say, "Rubbish, Campbell." He was on me all the time. So when I told Lee Dixon said, "No way, Cabs." I said, "I'm telling you, just listen to when we come out." And we came out, and he was like, "Rubbish, Cabs." And Lee Dixon was... So we get back into the dressing room. So after all the boys were like, he told all the boys that there's a guy there, and all the lads used to listen out for it. And he was an old boy, and I met him one day. So I met him one day, and he was nice.
How was that?
Nice. No, but he was nice as pie. It's funny, Hilarious. He was nice as pie. But as soon as he get into game mode, there was always one player who, was the ire, and I was that player for him, which happens. But
so
it was
awesome.
hilarious. It was hilarious.
Oh my God.
But no, I give Aubameyang a 7.
You thrive on stuff like that.
Without a doubt.
It motivates you. Take you're the optimal athlete. You take those moments and you strive to be better because of them. Like and as Barry says,
you have to use them.
Broke the neck,
you have to use them as fuel. You have to.
Brilliant.
Because you know what, Soph? I've stood on the terraces, I've sat in the seats. I've seen good, bad, indifferent performances. And I've been maybe not like this guy was on one player or whatever. But you know what? Sometimes fans need it as a release.
Yeah.
They need to get stuff off. And if it's one player that gets it off, it was me on this occasion. Listen, I understand, because that's sometimes why people have difficulties in the lockdown, because football was a release. It really was. You go to the football, you have a couple of beers with your mates or whatever, or you just go and you could vent, you can shout, you can cheer, and you've got that weight off your shoulders, and then you wait till the next game.
Yeah.
So I understand.
No, totally. John Jensen used to be that guy for me for a while.
Factor, yeah.
Oh my God, hilarious. Good stuff. Okay, so Aubameyang.
What do you give Aubameyang?
I'm going to give him a 6 for effort, because he put in a lot more effort today. But I don't. There's a lot of people in chat, Kev, that are saying he's got to move on. We got to move him on, and we've had this discussion on the show. That would have been last season. It's not going to happen. Who's going to come in and?
Well, let's put it this way, Sophie, my dear. Let me just tell you this. Aubameyang is still a coveted commodity.
You think he's still got value, Kev?
I think he's got huge value. Now, there is mate, I'm going to have to just say it here. There is another London team who has a manager who has worked with him.
Oh, Chelsea.
And they are struggling for a striker. And let's be honest, they create chance after chance after chance after chance, and they have not been taking them.
By Thomas Werner. Timo Werner.
Their top goal scorer for a time is a midfielder who scored the penalties. So they would probably be interested. All I'm saying is they would probably be interested in Mr. Kane. But because of that rivalry, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So who else do they get? Who can they go out and get who is a predator, who has the resume? And I'm not saying if Aubameyang is our captain, he's at our club. But if there was going to be any business done, that might be a destination.
They have Champions League football. You're right. He's a coach that he knows. He doesn't have to move home. He doesn't have to go anywhere. He'll still be in London. I mean, as much as I think maybe we need to reboot in that area, because Kev, we've missed his goals this season. We've talked about it. I mean, 20 plus. It's been our Achilles heel.
Yeah, it has. And you know what? If we never had Pepe step up, we'd really be struggling.
Yeah, and you know what? Harry Kane is not going to Chelsea. He wants to play for Pep Guardiola. That is, I mean, look, weird things happen in football. Maybe not. There's 500 plus of you in live chat right now. Let us know what you think. But I mean, look,
Harry Kane's looking out for himself.
Now. Yes, yeah, absolutely, and rightly so. He should.
Exactly. He's already come out and said he'd love to play with Kevin De Bruyne, because some of the stuff that guy does as a striker, you're like, oh my God, I'd be there. And he knows.
It's mustard. Who wouldn't want to play with him, right? And I think a lot of folks in chat are also saying that maybe we're not suited. We're not playing to a suited Aubameyang under Arteta. And maybe players that I thought I wanted to come, like a Lilian Thuram's son, who I think is, I've said to you, is a combo of you and Righty. Like, he's strong. He's just fearless. I mean, he's got pace. He's got a great touch. His finishing is lethal. Players like that. I don't know now, Kev, like who the player is in that role, who the right player is for Arteta.
For Arteta's team.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna find out. I honestly believe if Aubameyang's 100% on board, he stays 100%. I think the midfield is going to change. And we need a marquee signing. We need a marquee signing where people are going to go, really? If we get a marquee signing, I think we're in business.
And do you think we can still achieve that? And of course, we're going to talk about it more as the summer goes. Can we achieve that? Now we definitely know we're not in Europe. We were able to attract top players without Champions League football, but we were able to offer them Europa League football. And the only marquee signing you and I agree would be game changer is Grealish.
Grealish is a game changer, 100%. But he's got to go to a club where he's going to be the man. Because if he goes to United, he's just another player. If he goes to City, he's just another player. anyone that goes to Chelsea is just another player. Comes to Arsenal, all of a sudden, it's Jack's team, really.
I mean, he could be captain, in my opinion. I'd give it to him. Dude, come be captain. Do what you want. You own the dressing room. You, Saka, ESR, Martinelli, Tierney.
The leader of the young pack.
Yeah, you own the dressing room. And he loves those guys. Do you think Liverpool are in the Grealish game, Kev? They could be.
I don't think so. I tell you why. I think their wage bill isn't what Arsenal's is, and I think it'll be a harder sell to get him, because who's he going to replace?
Well, I mean, there's rumors. I mean, that front three. There's rumors and different play, right? Salah and Mane. There's the Mane rumors that are building right now. I mean, it's a good question. I don't know, but in my mind, I'm thinking of all of those.
And don't forget, they got Jota. They bought Jota from Wolves.
Yeah, who was fantastic before his injury.
Exactly. You know? So what does Grealish go there and not play? He's got to go somewhere knowing he's the man, not thinking, "Oh, do I fit in?" He's got to know he's the man, and it's only Arsenal.
Stop! You gave me. We're going to do those shows. Let's go.
No, I know, but I just get excited we need a marquee signing, all right? If it ain't Jack Grealish, it's got to be somebody else, but we need a marquee signing.
Yeah. And look, guys, I know you're asking a lot of questions about Maxima. You're asking questions about the round starlet that everybody wants. You're asking about Basuma, and we're going to do that. Listen, it's May. The new season doesn't start till August.
Hey, let's do Pepe, because
I gave
Aubameyang 7, didn't I?
Yeah.
I gave Aubameyang 7.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's do Pepe.
So let's go to Pepe. It's got to be 9.5.
Yeah, he gets a 9 for me, 100%.
He's got to be 9.5, because that finish with his right foot,
it was class.
Was absolute quality. The touch and hit, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And then the second goal. Oh my God. So do you know how hard that is when you're running with the ball, and then to measure through an opponent's legs into the far corner? Do you know how hard that is?
It was precision. It was like a needle, the cotton going through the eye of the needle.
As you said that, I'm going to give him a 10. Sorry. I'm being very generous. It was like threading the needle, right? I'm going to give, and he threaded the needle through dunks. I'm going to give him a 10. Last day of the season, Pepe's getting no mask gunner. Give him a 10.
You know what? He deserves it. He really does today. He was a baller. He has been. His goal ratio in the last 10 games has been incredible. Credit where it's due.
Nice one, Johnny boy. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they're coming in thick and fast right now. 10s, 9s, Kev. Hive the needle goal. Totally. I mean, he really did a great job. And this is what we've wanted to see from him. This is the Pepe we've been dreaming of, right, Kevin? He's delivered this season. There's no doubt about the fact that he has had, in a terrible season where we've seen a lot of mediocrity, he has been great. He really has.
So can I just take us?
What's wrong with Cliff Bastin? What are you talking about? 5?
No, he's already marking Arteta.
Okay.
Come on, Cliff. He's marking Arteta already. Come on, not yet, because that can't be Pepe. That's for sure. So can I just take us? I just want to take us back to that Leeds game.
Yes.
Do you remember it was after the international break, and before Pepe left, he come out and said, he needs a chance, etc., etc. Got the chance and got sent off and all this kind of stuff. And I think it's times like that where, as a footballer, you go home and you question yourself, because you can fool a lot of people out there, but when you get home and you look at that person in the mirror, you can't fool the person you're looking back at in that mirror, who's looking back at you. Can't do that. And there came a time where He's asking himself questions. Am I talented? Yes. I usually beat people, but why is it not happening in the Premier League? And it happens few and far between. And then he's probably gone and spoke to the manager. And the manager said, what we need to do is get you on the training ground and do the extra work.
Mm-hmm.
And Ty Samuels, exactly. Ever since those moments where the penny dropped, Pepe is a bad man. He's been brocking necks out there.
Yeah. And you know what?
It's special. It's special.
You know, this is why I love your perspective, Kev, because, you know, even as humans, we look at ourselves sometimes and we're like, am I doing the best I can in my life? Am I putting the effort into this? Am I giving my relationship this? Am I doing this? When you're playing at that level and you are the most expensive signing in Arsenal Football Club's history, and, you know, you're not delivering, and then you get in this moment. This is why I said to you at the top of the show, I love how he looks like, without saying it, when he celebrates, his eyes, his body language. I'm the man now. I'm the man now. And I said this to you on Kevin Says. I asked you the question, do you think for the first time going into next season, the Arsenal Football Club are looking at maybe not building a team entirely around Aubameyang? And I think that might be the case, Kev. I really do.
So if I've said it all along, and I will just add to what you just said. As a unit, as a front unit, we need threats across the front. If Aubameyang isn't scoring, Pepe's scoring. If Pepe and Aubameyang ain't scoring, whether it's Saka, whether it's ESR, whether it's whoever's going to be there, we don't know fully. Whether it's Lacazette, everybody has to be chipping in with the goals. Because what does that do to a defense? It messes the defense up totally, because you know what? I've got my man, you've got your man, but he's a threat, he's a threat, he's a threat. The guy coming from deep's a threat. A midfielder joining in's a threat. Now there you have a team. And this relying on one player, like we do with Aubameyang, it's caught up with us.
Yeah.
And we need to share it out now.
It's a brilliant point, Kev. A brilliant point, because you know why? Without his goals, we've suffered. But if you had a team that could get goals from the flanks, from the midfield, you're not in that pickle. You're not in that problem as much.
So look at Chelsea, Soph.
Yeah.
Chelsea, their main guy has missed more than I've ever seen. But they've been getting there, one, because the defense has been tight, and two, they've been getting goals from midfield, they've been getting goals from wide, they've been getting goals from substitutes. It's made a difference to them. We need to be a team. Threats from everywhere.
And I have a feeling that I'm hoping, I pray that will be the case more so next season. We saw that formulate a little bit towards the end of the season, and hopefully we can see that. But I'm happy for players like Pepe to be superstar, to have a superstar player. I want him to be a superstar player. I want him to be, you know, as exciting as when he gets the ball, like when Mahrez does for City. You know, we all want that. So yeah, 100%. Kev.
So if we have a team and we have threats all over the front, the defense cannot double team him enough. Because if they double team him, someone else is free. So what we do in the end, we collapse the defense. Because as we shift it, they double team him, we shift it along, someone else is free. Someone has to come out. It leaves gaps. That's what Manchester City at their prime do. They open you up and they stretch you, and so there's gaps all over the place because they've got players all across their front who can score. I mean, look at Gundogan. Look at the amount of goals he scored from midfield.
I mean, and Kev, like, he had a bad injury. What was it, last season? He was out for a long time. And the fact that he's come back and had the season that he has this season, it's incredible.
Brilliant.
He's been absolutely brilliant. All right, let's go to the subs real quick and Arteta, and we'll get you guys out here in the next 5 or 6 minutes. And there's going to be plenty of time to talk about the future in the coming weeks in the off season. Okay, you guys, and we're not avoiding your questions. We will get to all of them over the coming weeks in the show. And by the way, someone wrote in chat, Kev, and this might be my favorite thing. We may have to make Pepe Don't Preach t-shirts.
I love that.
Playoff Madonnas, Pepe Don't Preach.
All Pepe needs to do is do that and put the work in on the training pitch. Because when you marry the two, it's unstoppable, Soph.
I love it. MK's on the t-shirts for us. Let's have it. Let's do it, MK. I love it. I love stuff like that. All right, Kev. What you got for the subs?
Arteta. Oh, sorry, the subs.
Yeah.
I thought Martinelli was bright when he came on. I really did, although he didn't get enough time. I think I'll round up the subs. I'll give them all a 6. Give them all a 6, Soph.
Okay, me too. Definitely. Give them all a 6. Right. What about the coach? The manager.
The coach, manager. He's manager now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Look, again, we kept a clean sheet. We looked a lot more lively. He personally has been putting in the work with Pepe on the training pitch. It's very important. That's one of the things he's very good at. We've got to say he has made mistakes this season. Of course he has. But I'm going to give Mikel Arteta a 7 today. I'll give Arteta a 7 today. First time fans are in. 2-0, clean sheet. Season number is different to today's number, obviously. Obviously. But today I'll give him a 7.
You know what, Kev? I was very proud of the fans today. They didn't misbehave. They didn't do any of the booing on the exit.
Well, I was gonna ask.
You'll get to that. Okay, I'll give Arteta a 7 today. You know, we had to win. We did. Unfortunately, we had to rely on other results around us. That didn't work out in our favor. But I'll give him a 7 for today. We'll do a season end of review at some point this week. Maybe we'll touch on that in a little Kevin Says this week as well. But Kev, tell me about the fans and what you thought about that.
I thought the fans were absolutely brilliant. Obviously, being in touch with Hilsey and Princess Goona, PG was at the game. Carl was at the game and stuff like that. It was great to see fans back. It was a good atmosphere. That's for sure. It was a good atmosphere there. And it's amazing. When the fans were there, the players looked like they were interested. So
yeah.
Isn't it amazing? Fans are there and we look interested. No fans there. It looks like we've just got out of bed.
Do you know when I really you noticed that the fans were truly back? When the air went out of the stadium, when everyone knew that Tottenham were beating Leicester 4-2. Yeah, there was that. Yeah. We haven't had that. How long has it been? Over a
long time. It's been a long time. Yeah,
where you get a result and it drops. You know. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, the fans were great today. Credit to them. Kudos to them. I mean, I think the protest fell a bit flat, if I'm being honest. But we'll talk about that this week a little bit more.
I think it was difficult for the protest because obviously the fans were let back in. When you're outside, you can protest vehemently, but when there's a game going on and you're actually in for the first time, you're kind of drawn and torn, aren't you? You're drawn to the protest, but you're also drawn to the game. You're torn because Josh Kroenke's there, and you sing your songs, and there were songs and protests, which was fine. But the game's still going on, and you want the team to win. You want to be able to say in the future, I was there when it opened up. So
yeah, it's really cool.
Well done to the fans today.
Before I let you go, Kev, are you okay with us not being in this Europa Conference thingamajiggy, or do you think that we should have played the under-23s or younger players? What's your take?
No, I'm fine. The way the season has petered out, I thought we've we've done all we can considering we've been so bad. You know, to be in that, as I said, and Kev says, if you told me where were Arsenal in the form league, and you said I would have said 6th or 7th, I wouldn't have said 2nd. So to finish this way isn't consolation, but you know, it's better than not being 2nd, if you know what I mean, of that form table. Hopefully, we can start adding to it. This is the key now. Yeah, we've finished the season with a bit of momentum. We need to carry that momentum on to next season. We need to sign the right players, Sophie. We need to sign the correct players to make us better. I'm okay with it because you know what? From next season, there's no excuses because we haven't got a European campaign to take our focus away. There's times where the manager could train the team all week and prepare. So if the boys don't turn up or whatever, again, we know the buck stops with the manager.
So with that point, I really agree with you. I think it's going to hurt us to not be in Europe financially, but that's where if you have owners, they make up the difference a little bit, right, Kev? With
sign the check, Stan.
Sign the check. And you mentioned that in the show on Friday. If you missed it, check out the Kevin Says episode on the Highbury channel. And look, guys, you got a lot of comments on that. We are going to dissect this. I'm going to talk about Europe as well this week. We're going to do Kevin Says this week as well. Kev's going to be on the show this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we're going to tackle a lot of this stuff when we've got Kev as well regarding no European football. Some of our loanees as well. I think you'll see in the next 2 or 3 days, there are going to be some players that come out with statements like maybe a Xhaka, maybe a Ceballos, definitely a Ceballos, and Ødegaard, maybe even a Bellerin. You know, I think we're going to look to do our business early, Kev, before the Euros.
We need to, as quickly as we can.
So we'll get stuck into that this week. For now, we just covered the game today. It's the last game of the season. And may I just say thank you to every single one of you who has stuck with us this season. You've been brilliant. This show would never exist without you. 500 plus of you in live chat tonight on a game that I know there's been a lot of apathy. And Kev, it's not been easy following the Arsenal since we've gone out of the Europa League. But
no, Soph.
It's not been easy.
It's not been easy all season.
Yeah,
not just going out. Let's be honest. It's been painful.
Yeah, it's been painful. And, you know, we're going to have a lot of exciting things next season. We've worked on that merch. Some great T-shirts are going to come out in the coming weeks. Trust me, it's going to be absolutely epic. You guys are going to love it. But for now, we're going to say goodbye. I'll be back tomorrow. And Kev will be back with me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to do Kevin Says on Wednesday as well. And we'll have some great shows lined up for you this week. Thanks so much, Kev. They've been brilliant. Post-game shows haven't been easy this season, have they?
No, they haven't. And you know, I think some of the most difficult times we've had is when the team doesn't turn up. So when the team doesn't turn up, but you know what? We still came on. And we still spoke about it, and we battled, we argued, we've been trying. All right, Cliff, best ahead. I've been baking pies. Some of the pies have burned up. I've had to redo them. It's been a hell of a season, but squaddies and everybody who watches and listens, thank you so much because, like my host with the most says, we couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much for joining us. And remember, if you can't be good, be careful or else I'll broke the neck. Always Arsenal.